I've been treating CF patients now for over 10 years. And as I look back on my past, what leads me to stand before you here today, I find it's all about two things. Two things. Time and timing. The time we spend day to day caring for patients, conducting clinical trials, advancing research, doing quality improvement ventures at our individual centers, even conducting advocacy and fundraising like we're all here doing tonight. All that time spent means nothing without timing. I heard a phrase once during a film class I took in college, and the phrase went something like this: the right thing at the wrong time is the wrong thing. Right? The right thing at the wrong time is the wrong thing. That statement has stayed with me to this day. It's actually helped define my career focus, my research goals, my patient care philosophy, and even my family life. Because for all the time I've spent in training, seeing patients, working in a laboratory, writing grants, or even playing with my 2 daughters and 1 son at home, that time I spend on these critical areas, I always focus on that, make sure it's the right amount of time, and hopefully doing it the right way. So, as Mark had alluded to, my first moment of timing really occurred way before I was born. My dad was a major influence on my life and how I kind of conduct medicine. Grew up in a small village in northern India, one of 8 children. All his siblings and parents were completely illiterate. And as timing would have it, he met the right mentors at the right time. In elementary school, some of them convinced him he had this thing for something called education. Fast forward 15 years, and my father came out of a relatively destitute circumstances with a DVM, an academic veterinarian, with a PhD. He was a very good researcher. He was actually so good that to this day, his publications are listed all over PubMed, advancing the initial human microbiology of so many diseases, especially diseases like listeria. As timing would have it, the World Health Organization actually offered my father a grant to study abroad. He liked the idea of the United States, but his best friend at the time was from the Czech Republic. And luckily for me, he chose this great country. My father continued his research career here in the U.S. into the mid-'70s when Jimmy Carter kind of froze NIH funding, which forced him to go into small animal veterinary practice. And so while it was not his first love, it allowed my father the chance to focus on my brother and myself. So he taught us some pretty hard facts of life. And often it was done operating on cats and dogs. Believe it or not, I was a 5-year-old kid standing on little stools, suturing up cats and dogs, closing surgery. And he would talk to us about, asking the hard questions, about having a sense of discovery, about trying to make an impact, and about remembering our roots, our humble roots. And as often is the case, the actions of those who influence you are far, far greater than their words. And my father was very clear and systematic in his approach to patient treatment, those patients being animals. But I remember him always asking his clients to read and to understand more about their pets' conditions. And I also remember him never giving up on cases, ever. I will tell you, often in veterinary medicine, when animals become sick and the bills start to stack up, most people start to opt to put their animals down, to put their animals to sleep. When this scenario arrived in my dad's hospital, he would ask the owner to sign a release authorizing him to treat the animal at no cost to them. And far more times than not, he would slave away into the late hours of the night, operating and treating, and actually save them. This led us to have about 40 pets growing up. This never give up approach to care is a legacy of my father, which I still honestly practice today. So the impact of timing took a direct hit on my medical school career. During the untimely death of my father in 2000, I was actually very much focused on having a career in cardiothoracic surgery. But his passing forced me to re-examine my career goals and my focus. So I didn't have a clear idea of what I wanted to do after medical school, so I kind of cast a wide net. So I went and pursued this combined double boarding internal medicine and pediatrics. And the years of training during that particular residency taught me a lot of interesting things. It made me look at adult conditions and wonder, how did that all start? What could have happened 20, 30 years ago to make it not look this way? And vice versa. I looked at pediatric conditions and was able to see the endpoint ramifications of those conditions. Toward the end of the residency, many of my mentors asked me, what are you going to do with this, Randhawa? This is kind of an odd combination of boards. And in that stage, I told them, I don't know. I'm still not sure. But I enjoyed learning, and I believed immunology is one of the final frontiers of medicine. So off I went to pursue immunology and laboratory immunology at UCLA. And the timing was great as far as my career goes, but it was even far better for my life, because that's when I met my wife, who actually is, she's back there now. My wife, Kira, And to be honest with you, without her unwavering support and frank tolerance of my somewhat crazy ideas, my long-time commitment, and my occasional angry demeanor, I would not be where I am today. So to that, I offer you my love and thanks. After my training in immunology and allergy, I still had questions. I had an interest in pulmonary diseases, but without training in lung diseases, I believed it would leave me really without the academic legs to stand on. So I had a choice. I had a choice to continue another 4 years of training. And again, at that time, the right thing may have been to just stop right there. But the timing was just wrong. So I dove into yet another 4 years of training in both the adult and the pediatric pulmonary disease side of things. And it was the first time I really got my feet wet into the world of CF. And I walked into the world of CF with years of experience in other areas. And I remember specifically one night going home and going online and trying to find out what research has been accomplished in the previous 2 decades. Realizing the advancements were limited in CF due to its complexity, I really began to respect this disease. Indeed, one of my mentors, who's actually currently at UPenn as a department head, told me point blank. She said, stay away from CF. It's a lost cause. And I actually questioned at that time my time committed to this field and to this condition. Then I met a patient named Rachel, who was 21 years old at the time. She had a huge smile, big, glowing personality, true grit for fighting CF. She was describing to me how difficult it was with CF to finish school and to find a consistent job. Moreover, she talked about how difficult it was to find love. She had just broken up with her boyfriend. She then asked me a question that just flat stopped me in my tracks. She asked me if I would let my son or daughter date or marry a patient with CF. Right? So I paused. I paused for a very, very long time. And I thought about my patients who I treat with other chronic conditions, who have immune deficiencies, HIV, transplants, all their struggles and all their limitations. And I also thought about the incredible fight, which was in each of these patients, and how that courage empowers everyone around them, including myself. So after quickly realizing my inappropriate delay, I turned around and I answered her. I said, listen, Rachel, of course, if my son or daughter fell in love with somebody who has CF, I would support it. Not only would I support it, I would do all I could to make sure that individual, my child, had the best cutting-edge health care possible to make their journey carry to the fullest. And I'd say it was that at that moment, at that time, that CF became a major focus in my career, because I saw these patients really as family members. When I started to work hands-on with more and more CF patients, both adult and pediatric, I quickly learned the devastating nature of this condition. I saw patients enter an ICU and never leave. I saw patients wait the agonizing wait on a transplant list, never to actually receive lungs. I was initially very agitated and restless to find better clinical paradigms for treatment and research approaches to CF care. And herein again lies the timing effect, because as I finished my years of training, one man at Miller's, who started the CF Center 30 years ago, took a chance on me. Unlike my previous academic mentors, Dr. Ellie Nussbaum, who's here tonight, was not nervous with my aggressive approach and was not really terribly intimidated by me. In fact, he welcomed and advised me frequently on how to best impact this condition. So I'd like to recognize Ellie here tonight. Along with the support of the hospital administration, the clinical managers, and other support staff, the CF Center at Long Beach has seen unprecedented change, and they're all here at this table. In the last 5 years, our center as a team, as a group, has grown to treat just under 400 patients. We've established hospital-specific CF wings for both pediatrics and the adult hospital. We've conducted over 20 CF clinical trials on site, published 15 research studies specifically involving CF, developed clinical paradigms on specifically outpatient management, and have established the first CF immunology clinic in the country whose sole focus is to study the immune system in CF patients and to find and to identify targets for treatment. And again, I just want to thank our team there at the table here to the right. So all this time and effort, all the time and effort dedicated to our center's expansion has come at the right timing. We are at a stage in CF disease care where CF adult patients are beginning to outnumber pediatric patients. We are seeing the advancement of CFTR channel drugs through the advent of high throughput screening assays. We are seeing the CF drug pipeline continue to expand with newer antimicrobials and mucus therapies. And we're seeing the CF Foundation begin to organize and centralize CF patient care to minimize the discrepancies seen between centers. And we are seeing CF patients overall live longer. So we again, as a CF care community, have a choice. Should we sit by idly and accept the pace of improvement we've seen in the last few years, or do we try and push this forward? So my schedule is pretty busy. My wife can attest to this. My schedule is busy dealing with clinical care for the common and clinical care for the rare pulmonary and immune diseases besides CF. My research on orphan conditions takes up hours of time each week. My administrative time and fellowship teaching time is tremendous. And I look at my schedule each week and frankly I feel choked. Trying to raise a semblance of a family and balance the clinical and academic components of my career leave me with few hours a week. So I can make the logical argument to just sit back idly and let the pace of CF care advance as it may. But even though I have little time each week, at least I have some time. I look at my CF patients who have limited time to live, and I look at my patients who I've lost. No matter how little time I may have, I owe it to my patients, like Leslie, like Elizabeth, like Sarai, like Emma, like Jessica, and like Ashley, whose time with us was too short. Our CF care community owes a large portion of our time to advancing the care of CF because we know waiting for other organizations and other pharmaceutical companies to find all the answers limits too many CF patients' lives. We are at a point in CF history where we have more clinical data, we have more tissue data, we have more treatment tools, and we have more patients where research and discovery can occur at each of our centers in a meaningful way. We should no longer be at a position when the standard of care fails that we are left with no options. This is an issue which affects many rare diseases. And truly, we only need to look at one other common condition to see where this works. If you look at the condition lupus and see where clinical centers drove discovery, you don't have to look very far. 2 years ago, 2 clinical centers in Denver, identified novel B-cell targets, which led to the first FDA-approved drug for lupus in 50 years. 50 years. I believe we can promote similar novel discoveries in CF at our individual centers. We can work in a collaborative fashion and define the needs of CF clinical and translational work. Currently, I envision the focus should be directed toward immune system targets, vascular targets, and other microbial toxins present in CF. And I really encourage all CF caregivers, practitioners, and scientists to accept this call to action. We have all seen those unique cases in CF where we have tried something new, we've tried something different, and we've seen a big impact. We need to take that sense of discovery and create a momentum for CF research and clinical advancement, the likes of which we have not seen in decades. It starts with us. It starts with me, and I'm ready because I feel the time is right. With the support of the CF Foundation and the support of you good folks here tonight, we can show our patients that we won't give up and that we don't give in. This is the right idea at the right time. CF is a battle. It's a fight, and we are all in this fight together. So again, I truly appreciate this award, and I humbly accept it, and I wish you all a very good night.